I'm so glad I never got involved with you. I just would have ended up being some woman you had to get up out of bed and leave at 3 o'clock in the morning and go clean your andirons.
From improvised orgasms to hidden movie references, When Harry Met Sally isn't just a romantic comedy. It's a carefully crafted masterpiece filled with Easter eggs that even die-hard fans miss on their first 10 watches. That deli scene everyone remembers, totally improvised. The ending that made you cry almost didn't happen. And those couple interviews scattered throughout, real stories from real people. Today, we're breaking down 18 hidden details that prove this film wasn't just made. It was engineered to become the definitive romantic comedy of an entire generation. If you're a fan of classic rom-coms and want to see more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. We cover hidden details from your favorite romance films every week. Number 18. The documentary couples telling their love stories throughout the film. Those aren't actors reading from a script. They're real married couples sharing their actual meet-cute stories. And the process of finding them took months. Director Rob Reiner sent production assistants all over New York City to interview elderly couples, asking one simple question: how did you meet your spouse? What you're hearing on screen are their unscripted, genuine memories. Reiner wanted to ground the fictional romance between Harry and Sally in real human connection. The couple who met because she was dating his best friend? Real. The woman who thought her husband was obnoxious at first? Absolutely true. The pair who locked eyes across a crowded room and just knew? That happened in 1943. These weren't written by Nora Ephron. They came straight from the hearts of people who'd spent 40, 50, even 60 years together. When you watch the film knowing this, those cutaway interviews hit completely different. They're not just narrative devices, they're proof that the messy, complicated dance between Harry and Sally isn't unique, it's universal. Number 17. Billy Crystal improvised one of the most iconic lines in romantic comedy history, and it almost didn't make the final cut. When Harry tells Sally at the end of the film, when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. That wasn't in the script. Crystal came up with it during the actual filming of the final scene, and Reiner loved it so much he immediately knew it had to stay. But here's what makes it even better, and what most people don't know. That line wasn't just a beautiful closer that wrapped up the movie with a bow. It was Billy Crystal's response to his own divorce and the pain he'd experienced in his personal life. Crystal had recently gone through a separation when production began, and that vulnerability, that understanding of what it means to lose someone you love, bled directly into his performance. When you watch that scene knowing this, everything changes. The desperation in his voice when he says, "as soon as possible," isn't acting technique or directorial guidance. It's real emotion from a man who understood exactly what it felt like to wake up and realize you'd let the right person slip away. Crystal later admitted in interviews that he drew on his own heartbreak to fuel Harry's arc throughout the film, particularly in the third act when Harry sabotages his friendship with Sally out of fear. Reiner later said that moment, that improvised line, transformed the entire ending from something conventionally romantic into something raw and urgent and painfully human. It turned what could have been a standard guy gets girl resolution into a confession, a plea, a man admitting he'd been an idiot and couldn't waste another second pretending otherwise. And the best part? Meg Ryan's reaction in that scene is completely genuine. She didn't know Crystal was going to say it. You can see it in her eyes. That's not Sally hearing Harry's declaration. That's Meg Ryan hearing one of the most romantic lines ever written, in real time, for the first time. Number 16. The famous deli orgasm scene was shot in a real New York delicatessen, and the older woman who delivers the legendary punchline wasn't supposed to be in the movie at all. That's Rob Reiner's mother, Estelle Reiner, and her cameo happened almost by accident. She was visiting the set to watch her son work, and Rob asked her to sit at a nearby table during the scene as background atmosphere. The plan was simple. Meg Ryan would perform her fake orgasm, other diners would react with shock or embarrassment, and they'd move on. But Estelle had other ideas. After Meg Ryan finishes her Oscar-worthy performance, delivering moans and gasps that echoed through the entire delicatessen, Estelle was supposed to look uncomfortable and maybe whisper something to her companion. Instead, she looked directly at the waiter, deadpan, and said, "I'll have what she's having." One take, completely spontaneous. No one saw it coming. The entire crew, the camera operators, the sound guys, even Billy Crystal sitting across from Meg Ryan, lost it. People were crying with laughter. Reiner knew immediately he had gold. That single line, 4 words delivered by a woman who wasn't even a professional actress, became one of the most quoted moments in film history. It's been referenced in everything from sitcoms to presidential speeches. The American Film Institute later ranked it as one of the greatest movie quotes of all time. And here's the beautiful irony. Estelle Reiner spent her entire life as a singer and performer, doing cabaret shows and jazz performances in small clubs, never quite achieving mainstream recognition. Then in her 60s, she visits her son's movie set and becomes immortal with 4 words. She passed away in 2008 at the age of 94, but that 4-second cameo made her a permanent part of cinema history. The line even appears on her headstone. Rob Reiner later said that moment captured everything the film was trying to say about spontaneity, joy, and the unexpected moments that define our lives. Number 15. Meg Ryan's hairstyle changes throughout the entire film. And it's not a continuity error or budget limitation. It's intentional character development mapped out months before filming began. When Harry and Sally first meet in 1977, Sally has that quintessential late 70s feathered Farrah Fawcett look. The kind of hair that screams, "I'm young and haven't figured out who I am yet." It's college girl hair, safe and conventional. 5 years later in 1982, her hair is noticeably shorter and more practical, reflecting her newfound independence after breaking up with her college boyfriend Joe. The carefree college girl is gone. This is working woman Sally, trying to establish herself in New York journalism, navigating the professional world on her own terms. The hair is functional, no nonsense, the kind of cut that says she's focused on her career and doesn't have time for high-maintenance styling. By 1987, she's rocking the iconic perm that defines her entire personality in the third act. Bigger and bolder and more confident than ever before. Nora Ephron worked closely with the hair department for weeks to make sure Sally's hair told its own story, independent of the dialogue or plot developments. Each style represents a different phase of her life and her evolving sense of self. It's a subtle detail most viewers never consciously notice, but subconsciously, it makes Sally feel like a real person, aging and changing in real time, rather than a character frozen in a single aesthetic. Ephron was obsessed with these kinds of details. She believed that great storytelling happened in the margins, in the things characters did when they weren't actively driving plot forward. Hair, clothing, the way someone holds a coffee cup, all of it mattered. Number 14. The film's structure mirrors the 5 stages of a relationship, and Nora Ephron designed it that way on purpose. Act 1 is the meet-cute and immediate dismissal, that initial spark you ignore. Act 2 is the reluctant friendship, when you're trying to convince yourself you're just friends. Act 3 is the what-if phase, where tension builds but neither person makes a move. Act 4 is the fallout, when one person catches feelings and the other panics. And Act 5 is the resolution, the moment when both people finally admit what everyone else already knew. Ephron wanted the film to feel like flipping through a photo album of someone's actual relationship, not watching a manufactured Hollywood romance. That's why the time jumps work. That's why the documentary couples make sense. The whole movie is designed to feel like memory, not fantasy. Number 13. Harry's claim that men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way was based on Rob Reiner's real belief at the time. Reiner was going through romantic struggles during production, and he genuinely believed what Harry was saying. He and Nora Ephron would argue about it constantly on set. Ephron thought it was cynical. Reiner thought it was honest. Their creative tension fueled the entire script. But here's the twist. By the end of filming, Reiner had met his future wife, Michelle Singer, and completely changed his mind. He fell in love during the making of a movie about whether love between friends was even possible. The film's happy ending wasn't just written for Harry and Sally. It was written because Reiner had living proof that he'd been wrong the whole time. Number 12. The wagon wheel coffee table in Sally's apartment is a deliberate symbol of her need for control. That coffee table is aggressively coordinated, the kind of thing someone buys when they're trying to create the perfect life. It's spotless, symmetrical, and completely impractical. Nora Ephron used production design to show Sally's personality without dialogue. The coffee table represents her fear of chaos, her need to have everything just so. When Harry spills wine on it later in the film, it's not an accident. It's a visual metaphor for Sally's carefully constructed world starting to crack. By the end, that apartment feels different because Sally has changed, and the coffee table becomes a relic of who she used to be. Number 11. The Auld Lang Syne montage wasn't originally supposed to exist. Early drafts had Harry and Sally spending New Year's Eve together in real time across multiple scenes. But test audiences found it too slow. Reiner compressed 5 years of friendship into a 3-minute montage. What could have been boring exposition became one of the most emotionally effective sequences in the film. You watch them grow closer, laugh together, support each other, and the whole time you're thinking, just kiss already. The montage does in 3 minutes what most movies take an hour to accomplish. It builds intimacy without dialogue, and by the time it's over, you understand exactly why Harry and Sally mean everything to each other. Number 10. The screenplay originally had a completely different ending where Harry and Sally don't end up together. Nora Ephron's first draft was cynical. Harry and Sally sleep together, realize it was a mistake, and go their separate ways. The final scene showed them years later at a bookstore with their spouses, sharing a knowing smile. Rob Reiner hated it. He pushed Ephron to write a version where they end up together, arguing that audiences needed hope. Ephron resisted, calling it a cop-out. They fought for weeks. Eventually, Ephron came around, but only after Reiner agreed to make the happy ending feel earned rather than easy. The ending we got, with Harry's desperate sprint through New York on New Year's Eve, was a compromise between cynicism and romanticism. Number 9. The film is packed with references to Casablanca. Sally watches it alone in bed and cries. Harry references it multiple times in conversation. The entire aesthetic, the black and white title cards, the jazz soundtrack, pulls from classic Hollywood. Nora Ephron was obsessed with 1940s cinema and wanted this film to feel like a love letter to golden age romantic comedies. The difference is that Ephron updated the formula for modern audiences. Where Casablanca ends with lovers parting forever, When Harry Met Sally ends with them choosing each other. It's the same emotional beats, but with a contemporary twist. Number 8. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan improvised most of their banter, and you can tell which lines are off script by watching their reactions. When Harry says, "You're the worst kind," "You're high maintenance, but you think you're low maintenance," Ryan's laugh is genuine. She wasn't expecting it. When Sally responds with her olive on the side explanation, that's her riffing back. Reiner encouraged improvisation because he wanted the chemistry to feel natural. The result is dialogue that sounds like real people talking. Some of the film's funniest moments, the baby fish mouth bit, Harry's Casablanca rant, happened because Crystal and Ryan trusted each other enough to play. Number 7. The film's soundtrack is entirely standards from the Great American Songbook, and that choice was intentional. Reiner and Ephron wanted the movie to feel timeless, not dated to the 80s. If they'd used contemporary pop music, the film would have aged immediately. By using jazz standards sung by Harry Connick Jr., they created a sonic world that could exist in any decade. Songs like "It Had to Be You" aren't just background music. They're emotional cues that tie the film to a lineage of romantic storytelling. Connick's album went double platinum and introduced an entire generation to jazz. Number 6. The scene where Harry and Sally argue about Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca is a metaphor for their entire relationship. Harry thinks Bergman is beautiful because of her vulnerability. Sally thinks she's beautiful because she's strong and makes her own choices. They're both watching the same movie and coming to opposite conclusions. They're both right, but they're arguing because they see the world differently. That's the entire movie. Harry and Sally are incompatible in theory, but perfect together in practice. Their arguments aren't about Ingrid Bergman. They're about two people who care enough to fight because the big stuff scares them. Number 5. The film was shot entirely on location in New York City, and every restaurant, bookstore, and street corner is real. Katz's Delicatessen, where the orgasm scene takes place, is still operating today and has a sign marking the exact table where Meg Ryan sat. The Shakespeare and Company bookstore is gone now, but it was a real Upper West Side institution. Ephron and Reiner insisted on shooting in real locations because they wanted the city to feel like a character in the story. New York isn't a backdrop. It's the third wheel in Harry and Sally's relationship. Every cab ride, every walk through Central Park, every late-night diner conversation is steeped in the texture of the city. Number 4. Meg Ryan's famous side, 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 ordering routine at restaurants was based on a real person Nora Ephron knew, and the story behind it is perfect. Ephron had a close friend who was notoriously high maintenance at restaurants, the kind of person who would spend 5 minutes ordering a simple salad, asking for dressing on the side, croutons on the side. Could they substitute this for that, hold the onions, extra tomatoes, but only if they're ripe? Efron found this behavior both mildly annoying and deeply endearing in the way that only close friends can. She would tease her friend about it, but she also recognized something beautiful in someone knowing exactly what they wanted and not being afraid to ask for it. So she gave that trait to Sally, amplified it for comedic effect, and turned it into character definition. What's brilliant about how Efron wrote it is that the film never mocks Sally for being particular. It doesn't present her quirks as flaws that need fixing or obstacles to finding love. It presents them as part of who she is. And Harry falls in love with her anyway. In fact, he falls in love with her because of the quirks, not in spite of them. The ordering scene is character development disguised as comedy, and it tells you everything you need to know about Sally in 30 seconds. She's someone who knows what she wants, asks for it unapologetically, and doesn't care if that makes her seem difficult. And later in the film, when Harry lists all the specific things he loves about her, that precision and pickiness is right at the top. Efron understood something fundamental about love that most romantic comedies miss. You don't fall in love with someone's highlight reel. You fall in love with their peculiarities, the small, annoying things that would drive anyone else crazy, but somehow make you smile. Number 3, the line, "I'll have what she's having," was almost cut from the film entirely. And if studio executives had gotten their way, one of the most iconic moments in cinema wouldn't exist. After they screened an early cut for Columbia Pictures, studio executives thought the line was too crude, too sexually explicit, too on the nose for a mainstream romantic comedy. They were worried about the MPAA rating. They were worried about conservative audiences. They were worried it would overshadow the rest of the scene and reduce a smart film to a cheap punchline. They wanted Reiner to shoot an alternate take with a different, more subtle reaction from Estelle Reiner. Maybe she could just look embarrassed. Maybe she could whisper something to her companion that the audience couldn't hear. Anything other than that direct, explicit callback to what they just watched. Reiner absolutely refused. He argued passionately and repeatedly that the line was the entire point of the scene. The fake orgasm itself wasn't the joke. The joke was in how people react to female sexuality in public spaces. If the scene didn't get a reaction from other people in the restaurant, if it didn't acknowledge what had just happened, then the whole thing failed. It would just be Meg Ryan making funny noises for no reason. The line grounded the absurdity in reality and made it about more than just shock value. The executives eventually backed down, though they weren't happy about it. Decades later, the American Film Institute ranked that line as the 33rd greatest movie quote of all time. It's been parodied in dozens of TV shows and movies. It's entered the cultural lexicon in a way that almost nothing else from the film has. And it exists only because Rob Reiner was willing to fight for it. Number 2, the final New Year's Eve scene, the one that makes everyone cry, was shot in the middle of July during one of the worst heat waves New York had experienced in years. The entire sequence, the party, the confetti, Harry running through the streets in his heavy winter coat, was filmed when temperatures were hitting the high 90s. The actors were sweating through their clothes under winter coats and scarves. Meg Ryan's makeup kept running. Billy Crystal could barely breathe during his sprint through the city because he was layered in wool and running full speed in summer heat. The confetti kept sticking to everything because of the humidity. Production assistants were constantly trying to blow it off actors' faces between takes. The extras playing party guests were miserable, dancing and celebrating in formal winter wear while sweating profusely. Reiner later said in interviews that it was one of the most physically miserable shoots of his entire career. And you could see the exhaustion on everyone's faces by the end of each day. But here's the thing. Sometimes great art comes from suffering, and this is one of those times. Harry's sprint through the city looks desperate and urgent and slightly unhinged because Billy Crystal genuinely felt desperate and urgent and slightly unhinged. He wasn't just acting out of breath. He was out of breath. His breathless declaration of love, the way his voice cracks and his hands shake, all of that is elevated by the fact that the actors were physically uncomfortable and emotionally raw. The scene feels real because the struggle to get through it was real. You can manufacture a lot of things in movies, but you can't fake that kind of raw physical and emotional exhaustion. Number 1, the ending wasn't just a happy accident or a lucky break. It was the result of a creative battle that nearly destroyed the production and almost ended the friendship between Nora Ephron and Rob Reiner. They fought for weeks, maybe months, about whether Harry and Sally should end up together. Ephron's position was that a realistic ending would be more honest, more true to how relationships actually work in the real world. People sleep with their friends. It ruins things. They drift apart. Life goes on. That's reality. Reiner's position was that a romantic ending would be more satisfying, that audiences come to romantic comedies for hope, not cynicism, and denying them that hope would be a betrayal of the genre itself. These weren't casual disagreements. These were fundamental philosophical differences about what stories owe their audiences, and whether art should comfort or challenge. They would argue in front of the cast. They would argue in front of the crew. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan started joking that they might have to film 2 different endings just to keep the peace. Eventually, they compromised by making the happy ending feel earned rather than easy. Harry doesn't just show up at the party and say, "I love you," and everything is magically fixed. He has to articulate why he loves her. And more importantly, he has to list all the small, ridiculous, specific things he loves about her. The way she orders food with everything on the side. The way she gets cold when it's 71 degrees out. The crinkle above her nose when she looks at him like he's crazy. It's not a grand romantic gesture with violins and fireworks. It's an intimate, specific confession that proves he's been paying attention the whole time. That speech, which was written and rewritten and argued over a dozen times, is what makes the ending work. It's not Hollywood magic or fairy tale logic. It's 2 people who finally stopped being afraid of ruining a good thing and admitted they wanted to try anyway. Efron and Reiner both got what they wanted. The ending is romantic, but it's also real. And that balance, that tension between hope and honesty, is what makes When Harry Met Sally timeless. When Harry Met Sally is so much more than a romantic comedy. It's a masterclass in screenwriting, improvisation, production design, and emotional honesty that continues to influence filmmakers decades after its release. Every detail we just covered, from the documentary couples to the wagon wheel coffee table to Billy Crystal's improvised lines to the epic battle over the ending, was designed to make you believe in love without insulting your intelligence. These weren't happy accidents or lucky breaks. They were the result of meticulous planning, creative risk-taking, and artists who cared deeply about getting it right. Nora Ephron didn't just write dialogue, she created a world where every object, every hairstyle, every piece of background music served the story. Rob Reiner didn't just direct actors. He fostered an environment where improvisation could flourish and where his own personal journey toward love could inform the film's ultimate message. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan didn't just deliver lines. They brought vulnerability, humor, and genuine chemistry that made Harry and Sally feel like people you actually know. These 18 hidden details prove that great films aren't made in the editing room or the writer's room alone. They're made when directors, actors, and writers trust each other enough to take risks, to fight for what they believe in, to improvise and experiment, and sometimes fail spectacularly before finding what works. And sometimes the best moments, the ones that define a film's legacy and live on in cultural memory for generations, come from the risks nobody planned and the happy accidents that only happen when talented people care enough to get it right. So there you have it, 18 details you completely missed in When Harry Met Sally, a film that rewrote the rules of romantic comedy and proved that smart, sophisticated love stories could also be commercially successful. If you want more deep dives into classic romance films, where we uncover the hidden details, creative battles, and production secrets that made them iconic, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Next week, we're breaking down The Princess Bride and the hidden details that make it perfect. From the casting decisions that almost didn't happen to the on-set injuries that made the final cut. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. I'll see you in the next one.